Hey there, fellow gardeners, let's talk about one of the most rewarding decisions you'll ever make in your garden: planting perennials. I know the annual planting cycle can feel exhausting, all that tilling, seeding and replanting year after year, but what if I told you there's a better way? A way where you plant once and harvest for years, sometimes decades. That's the magic of perennial crops, and today I'm sharing 15 incredible options that will transform your garden into a self-sustaining food paradise. Before we dive into our list, let me tell you why perennials are absolute game changers. These plants establish deep root systems that improve soil structure, require less water once established, and provide consistent harvests without the constant replanting effort. They're also more resilient to pests and weather fluctuations. Basically, they're the gift that keeps on giving, and your future self will thank you for planting them today. Let's start with the crown jewel of perennial vegetables, asparagus. Yes, you'll need patience here because you shouldn't harvest for the first 2 years while the crowns establish themselves, but once they're settled in, you'll enjoy 20 to 30 years of spring harvests. Plant your crowns, about 6 inches deep in well-draining soil with plenty of compost, and give them full sun. Come springtime, those tender spears will push through the soil like clockwork, and trust me, nothing beats the flavor of fresh-cut asparagus from your own garden. Rhubarb is practically indestructible once established, and it'll outlive most of us if treated right. This cold-hardy perennial thrives in zones 3 through 8 and produces those gorgeous ruby-red stalks perfect for pies, jams, and compotes. Plant rhubarb crowns in early spring with about 3 feet of spacing between plants. They get massive. The key here is patience during the first year and feeding them well with compost each spring. Remember, only harvest the stalks and never eat the leaves, as they're toxic. If you're in zones 7 through 11, artichokes are an absolute must-grow. These architectural beauties produce those incredible flower buds we love to eat, and they'll keep producing for about 5 years before needing division. They prefer full sun and well-draining soil, and honestly, they're surprisingly drought-tolerant once established. Even if you're in a colder climate, you can grow them as annuals or heavily mulch them for winter protection. The flavor of homegrown artichokes is so superior to store-bought that you'll wonder why you ever waited. Now here's a plant that's almost too easy to grow. Horseradish. Plant one root cutting, and you'll have more horseradish than you know what to do with. This vigorous perennial spreads readily, so consider planting it in a contained area or a large pot. Harvest roots in fall after the first frost when the flavor is most concentrated. Just be warned, once you plant horseradish, you'll likely have it forever, as even tiny root pieces left in the soil will sprout new plants. Also known as sunchokes, Jerusalem artichokes are incredibly productive perennials that produce nutty-flavored tubers. They're part of the sunflower family and can grow 8 to 10 feet tall with beautiful yellow flowers. Plant tubers in spring about 4 inches deep, and by fall, you'll dig up pounds of these knobby vegetables. They're excellent roasted, and their inulin content makes them a great choice for diabetic-friendly diets. Like horseradish, they can be enthusiastic spreaders, so plant them where they can establish their own patch. French sorrel is, honestly, one of my favorite perennial greens because it's just so versatile and easy to grow. This leafy green has a wonderful lemony tang that really brightens up salads, soups, and sauces. It grows well in partial shade to full sun, and keeps producing those tender leaves from early spring right through fall. Just cut the leaves regularly to encourage new growth, and, divide the plants every 3 to 4 years to keep them vigorous. Sorrel is also one of the very first greens to emerge in spring, so you'll get fresh harvests when almost nothing else is ready. Here's something truly fascinating. Walking onions actually plant themselves. These perennial onions develop clusters of bulbils at the top of their stalks. The weight eventually bends the stalk down to the ground where the bulbils take root. Literally walking across your garden, you can harvest both the underground bulbs and the top sets, and they provide green onion-flavored shoots all season long. They're incredibly cold-hardy and honestly require minimal maintenance once they're established. If you love celery flavor but hate how finicky celery can be to grow, lovage is your answer. This towering perennial can reach 6 feet tall and provides celery-flavored leaves, stems, and even seeds. It's phenomenally easy to grow in full sun to partial shade, and it comes back reliably, year after year. Use the leaves fresh in salads or dried for soups and stews. The hollow stems make excellent straws for Bloody Marys, and the seeds add wonderful flavor to pickles and breads. Similar to walking onions but with a milder flavor, Egyptian walking leeks are honestly just incredibly productive and cold-hardy. They multiply readily, both underground and through those top bulbils, giving you a continuous supply of mild, sweet onion flavor. You can harvest the green tops like scallions throughout the growing season, and, well, dig bulbs as needed. They're perfect for gardeners who want reliable onion flavor without the hassle of annual planting. This beautiful silvery blue perennial produces tender shoots in early spring that can be blanched for an asparagus-like treat. Sea kale thrives in coastal conditions but, really, adapts well to most gardens with good drainage. It's drought-tolerant once established and produces lovely white flowers that attract beneficial insects. If you force the shoots by covering crowns in late winter, you'll have gourmet vegetables that are honestly rarely found in markets. This old-fashioned perennial vegetable definitely deserves a comeback. Good King Henry produces spinach-like leaves that can be harvested from spring through fall, plus tender shoots in spring that taste pretty similar to asparagus. It grows in partial shade to full sun, and self-seeds readily without becoming invasive. The leaves are highly nutritious, packed with iron and vitamins, making this a wonderful addition to any perennial food garden. For those who love arugula, Turkish rocket offers that same peppery bite in a perennial form. This easy-growing green produces leaves almost year-round in mild climates and reliably returns each spring in colder zones. It prefers partial shade, especially in hot summers, and, honestly, the more you harvest, the more it produces. The leaves are perfect in salads, on pizzas, or wilted into pasta dishes. While we often think of berries separately, they absolutely deserve mention here. Raspberries, blackberries, blueberries, currants, and gooseberries are all perennial crops that produce abundant harvests for 15 to 20 years or more. Each has specific soil and climate preferences, but there's almost certainly a berry suitable for your garden. The key is providing adequate spacing, proper pruning, and consistent mulching to suppress weeds. Grapevines are long-lived perennials that can produce for 50 years or more with proper care. They need full sun, good air circulation, and sturdy support structures. While they require annual pruning to maintain productivity, that's a small price to pay for decades of fresh grapes, juice, and wine. Choose varieties suited to your climate, and, well, be patient through the first 3 years as vines establish before heavy production begins. Let's end with the biggest perennial commitment: fruit trees. Whether you choose apples, pears, cherries, plums, or stone fruits, trees represent decades of harvests. Dwarf varieties work beautifully in smaller spaces and can even thrive in large containers. The key to success is choosing varieties appropriate for your chill hours and climate zone, providing adequate spacing for mature size, and establishing a pest management routine. Now that you know these 15 incredible perennial crops, it's time to start planning. I recommend beginning with 2 or 3 that excite you most rather than trying to plant everything at once. Prepare your soil well with plenty of compost, give plants adequate spacing for their mature size, and, honestly, be patient through the establishment period. Most perennials need a year or 2 to really get going, but once they do, you'll wonder why your entire garden isn't planted with them. If you found this guide helpful and you're ready to transform your garden into a perennial food paradise, make sure to subscribe to Grow with Soil for more practical gardening wisdom. Share this with your gardening friends who are tired of replanting every year. They'll thank you for it. Let's grow together, one perennial at a time.